All righty. We are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Social Media and AI Shortcuts, the live stream. I'm Madalyn Sklar. I host this gathering every week for us, and I've got a jam-packed show for you all today. We're going to dive into how to become a ChatGPT expert in under a minute. And yes, I'm being serious because there's this great little short video we're going to watch, a YouTube short, and we're going to break down what Dan Martell talks about this with his 4-step prompt formula that'll instantly improve how you talk to AI. I'm really digging this really short amount of information, and I found it to be very valuable. I want to share it with you all today. I'm also going to share a little bit about my own journey using ChatGPT. We can talk about, what's changed, what's improved. There's been a lot this year that I've noticed has been working a lot better for me. And we'll talk about why many of us are very excited about where this is headed. Then get ready because ChatGPT's new image generator, which we've talked about here before, the 4.0 image generator, it is wild. I've been playing with it and I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I want to show you all some of the things that we can do with it. So I'm going to do a live demo to show it so y'all can see it in action, and hopefully that will prompt you to start playing around with it more. I'm also going to discuss some creative prompt ideas for your social media content using ChatGPT, especially for those of you creating content about social media and AI like myself. And then we'll wrap up with a look at Substack's new feature. They're now offering audio-only live streams. So I know a lot of people have been doing live streams through Substack. It's becoming really popular. And now there's going to be an audio-only. So we'll look at that, like how that could bring up more opportunities for podcasters and creators. I know a lot of authors are on Substack using it. So we'll have a great discussion about that. Now, if you don't know who I am, hi, I'm Madalyn. I've been in the digital marketing space for, oh my gosh, almost 30 years now. And I've been teaching social media for the last 20 years. And what I do is pretty simple. I like to help business owners and entrepreneurs who feel that they're just so overwhelmed by social media and AI because there's so much coming at us, right? It's hard to keep up with it all. And so many of us struggle with all of that. Like there's just too much information overload, right? So what I do is the stuff that I come across, the information that I'm getting, I like to just break it down and share it with y'all so it's easy to understand. Like in a little while when we do the ChatGPT image generator, just going to try to show it in real simple ways so you can see how cool it is in case you haven't tried it yet. So now is time to bring up our panelist who's with us today. Let me get her on screen here. Welcome, Barb. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, you're quite welcome. And now, I've listened to your rundown of what's up, I am extremely excited. You know, I love ChatGPT. I've been testing it out since August of 2022, but these recent updates, oh my! I hope you let me do a screen share of inside of mine of
Sure.
some of the art I've created and how I've done that, because in these last 48 hours, I have been blown away about two things that I did in
Oh,
the art
yeah.
realm.
I would love for you to share that with us. Yeah, because I don't know, all the stuff I've gathered to talk about today that I've been doing in the past week have been primarily ChatGPT stuff. So I thought, well,
Me too.
today will be ChatGPT day. Peter, great to have you here with us. My big experiment right now is pushing this live stream out to LinkedIn. This is the second week in a row I've done that. And so I want to welcome anybody that's watching the live stream right now. I'm on X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I was utilizing Facebook. The StreamYard plan I'm on for live streaming allows me to do up to 3 social media platforms, or 3 destinations. And because I've been in social media forever, and I have my Facebook profile is so old, and I have, I used to always hover at that 5,000 friend mark. So interesting that Facebook never felt like anybody had more than 5,000 friends. It's like, hello, I beg to differ. I used to have to delete, like remove friends, remove people from my friends list because I would meet people at events and conferences. I'm like, I want to add you as a Facebook friend. But when you hit that 5,000 limit, and I know there are all the workarounds, it was like, oh, just back in the day, do a second profile. And then pages came out, but then pages suck. So I don't like using pages. And there's just all these different, and people can like the page now or follow instead of being friends. And, it's the whole big thing. But I have found that if I broadcast this to my Facebook profile, because I've been building online communities since the 90s, I have a variety of completely different communities on there. People from back when I was doing the music industry, 20 something years ago. And then when I was the Twitter smarter gal and all those years doing that. And the thing that I've been doing a lot in the past several years is kratom, which is just a plant. It has nothing to do with my business life, but I have an online community I've built around that as my side passion project. And I have such a variety of people that follow me on Facebook on just the page, not the page, the profile, the personal page. And so it's been really cool broadcasting this over there. But because I can only do 3 destinations, I'm like, okay, I want to play around with posting this on LinkedIn and just see if it's worth doing. But which one do I have to stop? And it's like, I guess Facebook. So it's been a little weird for me to not broadcast it. I just go and put the YouTube link over there. Is what I've been doing. So because I'm like finding old high school friends who are like, wow, Madalyn, this is cool information. Like they're really liking that they see this broadcast on Facebook. So so Peter, I'm glad you're here, and I'm at least I know somebody's watching over on LinkedIn. So yeah, and with StreamYard, with the different plans, the other plan where you can have a lot more destinations is a little too pricey. So, good question. Peter's asking, are tweet chats dead? Oof, that's a loaded question. I was the one holdout forever on that question because people used to say Twitter was dead, then it was Twitter chats are dead, and what I always do is I just pivot based on what's going on. And it was always the hashtag Twitter chats, right? I started my very first one. I was doing other ones before Twitter Smarter. Twitter Smarter started in 2015. As a matter of fact, next month will be the 10-year anniversary of when I started it, which is at this time slot. So we still do Thursday at 1:00 Eastern, but instead of the old hashtag Twitter Smarter chat, we do it as a live stream now, and we're on X, formerly Twitter, plus right now LinkedIn, and also on YouTube. But it went through a lot of transitions, as you know. And when Spaces came out, what I started seeing was some of the Twitter chat hosts switching from the old school Twitter chat to Spaces, which I thought was very smart. Now, me being the kind of person I am, instead of switching, I did both because that's very me to do. So I had the Twitter Smarter chat at this time spot in Twitter with the hashtag, and then I would host a Spaces chat later. And so we would continue the discussion, but in Spaces. But I was watching everybody else just transition into Spaces or stopping Twitter chats altogether. And it really just depends on like what your goals are, what you're trying to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with still doing a Twitter chat. The thing is, are people still into it? I don't think people are into it the way they used to be. I think live stream is a better way to go. And the reason, so I was doing this as Spaces. Eventually, Twitter Smarter was just Spaces only in this time slot. So we did that for quite a while. And then I transitioned it with all the changes on the X platform. I decided to go back to being more broad with all social media. So I switched it from Twitter Smarter to Learn with Madalyn. Hashtag, always a hashtag, right? I was very good with branding hashtags. So Learn with Madalyn. And then I took a little break for a little while last year. And then I came back and said, you know what? I'm going to get back to this, but I want to make it a live stream. And I've been just FYI, I've been live streaming way before it was cool, way before most people were doing it, back when live video sucked, but it was the fact that you could bring people together all over the world. And I love that. So I was doing them for music events back in 2010. And just looking back at how crappy the live feed was, but the magic was in the chat, the live chat, like what we're doing in here. And y'all are able to come in, like Tony's here. Hey, Tony, good to see you. And Roxanne's here. That, to me, that was the magic of live streaming. And I knew the video quality would catch up. So here we are in 2025. Of course, the video is a lot better now. It makes for a more rounded experience for everyone. Barb, you've been live streaming a long time. What do you agree with that too? Do you feel like it was still worth doing back in the day because the fact that you could bring people together, if you were doing stuff like me with, bringing
Right.
communities together, but look at where we're at today and the quality is so great. And I don't even think anybody does a hashtag Twitter chat anymore, the old school Twitter chat.
Right. Well, there's so much. We've all gone video, and it's just so easy to do. The tool that we use specifically too allows us, just like today, Madalyn's allowed me to stream to my social media destinations as she is streaming to hers. And so those last two comments that came in were from friends watching it from my profile on Facebook. So that helps to introduce them to Madalyn's community as well. And there, it's Tony is especially, his whole thing is social media and what he's doing. And I met both of the folks that you featured back on the experiment program of video communications, and that was Blab IM.
Yes.
So we've come a long way, baby.
We have. Blab was so great. Blab was a great transition for live streaming where, hey, Tony, thank you for joining us, where you could, we called it Brady Bunch style because you could have up to 4 of you on the screen, which we're able to do now like this. Right now, it's just the 2 of us. But if we had 4 of us, it'd be the same thing. But it was such a new concept with Blab. And I fell in love the moment that came out. And I just saw people using it the way I do, bringing people together for community, and loved it. And I was so upset when it went away because I felt like it was such a great platform for many of us creators and community builders. But then you had Periscope, you had Facebook Live eventually, but like Periscope was first, and it was like, this is cool, but you couldn't bring other people up. And it's like, wait a minute. Why are we going backwards? We had Blab, we could have
Right.
4 of us on the screen, and now we're at Periscope, just you. And I loved it, and I did it anyway, but I was very disappointed that, like, wait a minute, why are we going backwards? It was magical to bring people on screen. And that's why I love StreamYard and tools like this, where we can be pushing this out to multiple platforms right now, destinations. And yeah, I mean, with you posting this to your community, Barb, is expanding this discussion. So people that don't know me are on here right now, and people that know me and don't know you are on here right now. Right. And I love that. I love that. So I think that's just great. And Tony says it perfectly. Exactly. Anything you can do to get yourself out there, that's the way to go. But also something you love doing. And a lot of people gravitate to spaces or Clubhouse because they're not comfortable being on camera. And I think that's totally fine. Not everybody wants to be on screen, but if you're comfortable on camera, live stream is a way to go because you can't hide behind anything. It's like what you see is what you get. And there's a lot of power in that.
Except for Barb.
Well, you know what I mean. I don't mean that.
Believe me.
So, well, thank you, Pigskin PD Podcast. Appreciate the subscribe. And agree, Peter. Nothing better than socializing on social media. I mean, I still remember 20 years ago when all that was emerging, and business people were like, there's a waste of time and money, and nobody's going to do this. Nobody cares. And it's like, I think we're just like back when .com, I started building online communities in the mid 90s, and I was like, this is going to be huge. This is going to change everybody's lives. And so I built an online community, launched it in January 1996. Is like, this is the direction things are going to go. And people thought I was crazy back then. They're like, what's this .com? Why are you doing this? It's like, because we can bring people together from all over the world. We can bring like-minded people together. And it was extremely powerful. And social media, same thing. When you started seeing that emerge 20 years ago, it's like, this is interesting, and this could be a new way for us to market and for us to have a level playing field. Websites, the .com thing put a level playing field for businesses, because you didn't have to be the big business. You could have a website, and whether you're a big company or a little company, it's an even playing field. And that was so powerful back in the 90s into the 2000s. And then social media comes along, and it's like, well, now individual voices can have a level playing field. Pretty amazing.
Peter mentioned a name that I'm so familiar with. Do you remember Kodak?
Oh, Kodak, of course.
I helped them set up their first website.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, because of why, Madalyn? You're from Texas. What did Kodak have to do with New Mexico? The Kodak Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Yeah.
We brought them. Remember when it was the title sponsor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I helped make that happen. And I'm all about photography, all about art. And if you think back then, out at the Balloon Fiesta when Kodak came in, we got to introduce the very first digital cameras they produced. And those puppies were $15,000.
I remember.
If you wanted to have them, and we, little old Barb, got to touch those things and actually play with them. So thank God I embraced technology from the get-go.
I remember when digital cameras started coming. The very first one, I still remember I wish I'd saved all this stuff. I mean, it'd be so nostalgic to have it now. The very first one I had, it was digital camera. I remember it was big, and it had this big screen on the back. And I'm pretty sure you put a disc into it, like maybe the 3.5 inch disc.
Yeah.
Hard 3.5. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, I think you put one of those into it.
We'll have to do
pictures.
That. Yeah, for
we'll have to go down memory
show.
lane. Yeah, exactly.
No, our 80s show that that's going into the 90s, but it was those of us of the 80s that were very mature and going strong that really pushed the technology to the point where it was that we did commercialize the internet and go forward. So.
Absolutely. So if anybody missed last week's live stream, Buzz was here with us, and we started talking about the 80s and 90s. We kind of went on this whole little reminiscing tangent, and then we all came up.
Voice for it.
Yeah, he came up with this. Let's have a show called Back to the 80s, baby. And it's like, yes, we are going to make that happen. We're going to do something with that. Peter said his dad worked at corporate for Kodak.
I probably knew your daddy.
And his grandpa was there too. That is so cool. Wow. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh, wow.
For anybody that's new to the live stream, I do have another place for us to hang out over on the School platform. If you're not familiar with School, it's SKOOL. If you go to school.com/Madalyn Sklar, I have a hangout place for us where it's like a forum. And I like this better than a Facebook group. And it's a way for us to stay connected throughout the week and chat about, whatever things we find, or if I share something, you want to, comment, Barb will sit here and share stuff or comment on something I've shared. It's a great little community.
Especially stuff about Facebook.
Yeah. It's all related to social media and AI. And I call it social media and AI shortcuts, because just us all working together and helping each other do things faster, easier and faster. So, y'all feel free to join, and it's in the ticker too, so you can always go grab it there. Let's talk about ChatGPT stuff. That's pretty much the theme for today. I'm going to play. It's a really short. It's only 53 seconds long. It's very short, but it's a really interesting video I came across from Dan Martell. It's titled 4 Steps to Become a ChatGPT Expert. And let me just play this, and then we'll talk about it, because I think this is a super interesting thing.
I'm going to take you from ChatGPT beginner to expert using a 4-step prompting process that I created. Number 1 is the role. When you're chatting with AI, you got to tell it how to think. If it's a marketing tweet, you got to say as a marketer, because then it uses that information to go look around its neural network for information that matches to that. Number 2 is the context. You have to tell it what you're trying to do. If you're writing a better blog, tell it, I'm trying to write a better blog, or I'm trying to create 10 awesome novel tweets for my client. Number 3, give it the the command for what you want. So if you want 10 tweets, tell it, I need you to write me 10 tweets. And then the fourth is the format. The format is how you want to consume it. So you might want it in a spreadsheet. You might want it in a bulleted list. That'll give you the output. Once you get that output dialed in and it's awesome, ask it to write the command or the prompt that would have got you to that place faster.
I love that. And I love that he said at the end, because that's something I've gotten so much better about, is I'll talk to it and like, give it all the info and say, now give me a prompt based on all of this. Because I am not good at, when I see people that are like so good at prompt engineering, I'm like, I don't know why I just can't do that I can tell ChatGPT what I want, but I just tell it after everything, and we'll do some back and forth. I'll say, okay, now give me a prompt for this. And it gives me this great prompt. I'm like, oh, thank God. And I can just copy and paste it in. I've gotten better it took me time, ChatGPT has been out for several years. I feel like I've gotten so much better at working in it, but his video just really brings home the fact that you got to be specific. You got to tell it what you want. But it can just be a back and forth conversation to get to what you want as well.
Right.
I mean, what do you think, Barb?
I most definitely think you get, there's Baz. Yay.
Baz made
it's party time.
Back to the 80s, baby.
I definitely, being an old beta tester, I thought, and there was a little bit of fear just because I knew that the folks who were behind it all were younger than me, and I had watched them grow up, and some of them didn't really care so much about all the fine points, and it was just get it to the finish line. If it'll work, then we'll play it. And if there's parts that don't work, well, we'll deal with that later. And so at first I was a little bit more shy, I would say, about, okay, I'm going to try this or that. But when I finally decided, to heck with it, there's nobody else here, I'm going to have a relationship with the robot.
I love it.
And she's all grown up now. I feel, of course I made it a female. I didn't want to have to deal with any men behind the scenes.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
But it definitely, especially now, I am eager to show you how far we've come. And I loved I loved that short video because it was like, Barb can drag a story out for decades and just in 4 points just to bring it home. I loved it. And there are people that just, I have to write this really long prompt. I mean, It's like a Bible, one prompt for something, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're talking computers now. We're talking robots. Right. It's not going to be that much. Just like people fall asleep at your stories, the robots will too.
You should do it in steps. I know
right.
Dustin Stout from Magi has talked to us about that here on the program before about, or maybe I've seen it in his Facebook groups. I know he's talked about this pretty regularly, that you do it like in steps. If you overwhelm ChatGPT or any of the other AI tools with too much information on the front end, it can really overload it. What I do, ever since the whole advanced voice audio thing came, that audio voice thing, I love it. I love that. I love just talking to it. And I like just being conversational. And what it taught me is that I can just converse with it and build on what I want and what I'm looking for. And it's picking up everything I'm saying. And then when I feel like I've conversed and I'm like, I think I've said everything I need to say about this, then it's like, okay, let's what would be a great prompt for this? Or let's take all this information I gave you and now let's do this with it. And so that's one of the things I've noticed has been so much better with. I feel like ChatGPT has come a long way since it's come out, and I just feel like it gets better and better. And I really love the 4.0. I've been, for a while with the older ChatGPT versions, I ended up for quite a while using Claude. I felt like Claude wrote better than ChatGPT. And I know a lot of especially other creators in the industry were saying the same thing. And then a big chunk of last year, I was using Gemini because I thought Gemini was better than ChatGPT. But I've been back on the ChatGPT bandwagon for a while now, for months now. And I I'm to the point now where I just don't use the other one. I don't really have not used Claude in a while. Haven't used Gemini in a while. So I don't, are y'all like that too? Do y'all like switch around, or do you like have that one that's working? I'm a believer in whatever's working for you. That's awesome. You
I
know?
switch around depending on the use case. Claude is really good for mastery of the English language, and you can tell stuff that is coming out of ChatGPT. So I can tell the tone, how they say and everything. So for me, it's just certain phrases they use a lot. They overuse them,
Yeah, they do. It
and
does. It does.
yeah, it's like okay, and
It
someone
likes
found yeah.
there's that one word that you like, and you can always tell it's ChatGPT, and I'm blanking. I'll think of it. The other thing right now is those long hyphens. It loves that. I'll say, don't put those in these like when we're talking like that. I don't want to see those hyphens. But I'm noticing is doing like there's little things
Right.
it'll do.
And yeah, so and then Gemini, I've been playing around with that, with Notebook LM and stuff. And because I have Google Workspace, it has a deeper integration and more capabilities. So I like that. I mean, if you're paying, like I use it for my business, my Google email, business email, and then but the one you're talking about, the voice, um, I was I was on a way down to on a trip, just driving for 2 hours, and I was listening to Casey Kasem Top 40, and then I was in some hills, and I couldn't really listen. So then I decided to whip out my and they were going way back in time. It was the Wayback Machine, so I was digging it. I was digging it, and I popped out Pi, and I started asking it questions about pop culture, the '80s, MTV, all the characters, and even Adam Curry and his relationship to RSS, and his how he pretty much got the podcast industry going,
Right.
and but he didn't invent RSS. There was somebody else that invented it, but he took it and really got it out there with podcasting. So there was really, I started talking to it, and it was talking back to me. And so I couldn't, listen to the rest of the, there was one, it cut off on the long distance dedication, man. I was like, oh man, but, but then, yeah, Pi for me just what it did really good, and it kept going down rabbit holes. So if we ever do that show, I got some data. I've got some color commentary.
If anybody wants to check out Pi, we've talked about it here before. Baz has brought it to our attention. It's just PI, the letters PNI.ai, and it's a really interesting AI tool, but it allows you to talk to it like you can with ChatGPT's advanced voice, but it's free. But also too, when that was available free, that was back when ChatGPT, you only got 10 minutes a month on the free account, or you had to pay the pro or the plus $20 a month to have quote unlimited, even though I dug through the ChatGPT info and it won't define, how much. It's unlimited, but not really, like in so many words on their site. Because I was determined to figure out like how many minutes do you actually get daily when you're paying $20 a month on the ChatGPT. I've yet to figure it out. But Pi looked really interesting when you brought that to us, Bez, because it's like if you wanted that ability to talk back and forth like it's a person, a tool like Pi was great for that. But now
Yeah.
ChatGPT has added more of these features on the free account.
Oh.
So you get a lot more minutes of using it on the. So if anybody here is on the free ChatGPT, I have video. If you go to my YouTube, I have videos of me demoing it here. But basically, you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your computer. But basically, I like doing it on my phone, and I just go in ChatGPT app and I start talking to it.
Yeah.
It's like it talks to you, it talks back, and you can change the voice if you want a specific voice. I like the default one is fine for me, and I just love conversing with it. It just works really
Ma-
well for brainstorming.
Madalyn, people think entrepreneurs are crazy anyways because we talk to ourselves. Now they're gonna think we lost our minds now talking to like
Talking on the
an
phone like
AI.
it's yeah. But it sounds so real. Like it sounds real. When you're doing the Pi one,
Yeah.
does it sound as real as the ChatGPT one? Do you feel like?
Yeah, I choose the voice I want. I've trained it to not be so boring. Like, hey man, I'm not your stuffy person. I want you to have a little pep in your step. I need you to bring the heat. I need you to like have a little swag to you. And so
Yeah.
I pick one, and I've sort of trained mine to like I can't stand boring. I'll just stick needles in my eyes. That would be more fun. so so that's what I've done, and it's picked up on what I'm looking for. But I don't know what to tell you other than I sort of train mine to talk a certain way to me. So
And you can totally train it. Like Peter's making a great point on here, and this is something I've brought up in the past on this live stream because I feel it's so important that if you're on the free account or you're on the paid, always be logged into your account because it remembers your conversations. The memory feature has improved, I think, pretty dramatically this year. And I can sit here and have chats with it, and I can have multiple chats. I don't have to stay in the same one to keep having that same conversation. I was actually even talking to mine today, and we're working on something. I love the task feature, so I have a task for my to-do list in the morning. I've been really digging this way I've been utilizing the task feature, and so we're kind of going back and forth a little bit with my to-do list. And it mentions something that's more of, when I work on that project, I don't want to, that's great. Don't forget that. So I even asked it, and don't be afraid to just ask it a question. I said, if I'm in another chat with you, can you make sure you remember that and bring it up to me when that thing is discussed? It's like, sure. And it updated the memory. And it's like, yeah, I can do that. So I don't know. I feel like it's getting smarter with me, and the more I use it, it personally, I just feel like it gets better and better. So
yeah,
that's been my
I
personal
agree.
experience.
Yeah, I think you made a good point. Be logged in. Okay.
Yeah, always be logged in.
Like even when Copilot came out, it used to be called Being AI, right?
Yeah, I
And
remember.
or something like that. And you want it to be logged in because as you use it, it will give you more credits. And that's how Microsoft did theirs. And again, like you said, it remembers you. It has a history. But if you're not logged in, then that's not good because all that training you could have been doing, or even it remember having a history of your conversations. Because I don't, you can go back and read the text, right?
Yeah,
And you can do a lot of things with that. So yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely feel like it's a tool that the more you're working in it, the more you get out of it and training it on what you want it to do. I'm going to play another video, a fairly short one, because I want to talk about the whole ChatGPT image generator, because as y'all know, it's improved dramatically more recently with the 4.0. And before, like I didn't use to, I have to be honest, I was not really into the whole AI image generator thing. Like I, I never thought they were that great, and the text was always terrible. And it was interesting a few months back when they talked about, okay, we have this new 4.0 image generator, and they dramatically improved the text part. Hey, Rachel made it. Hey, Rachel. Now we're like Blab. We're like Brady Bunch style with the four of us on screen. So we were talking when Barb and I were talking about Blab earlier. This is long to what, Barb, that was like what, 10 years ago or so? It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how far back.
10, or we've had our 10th
2015-ish?
anniversary and going into 2014.
Yeah, so Blab was so ahead of its time where you could live stream like this with four of you on screen. It's like, oh my God, this is insane. So, wait, Larry says, speaking of updating memory, I don't see that memory updated in the chats. I see it do it all the time on my chats. I'll see it. I'll tell it like, I need you to remember this, or we'll talk about something like, don't forget, or I give it a task, and then I'll see the memory updated. But there's also that memory section in ChatGPT where you can work in that as well. So, Anyway, I'm gonna play this video because I think this whole image generator thing is so cool, and I've been playing with it a lot more because now that the text part of it is a lot like clear and sharp and makes sense, and then just the overall the way it does images and how there's so much you can do with it. I think it's at a place now where if people have not played around with this, they really should. It's that good. So I'm going to play this video where they talk about some of the things the image generator can do directly in ChatGPT.
All right, ChatGPT's huge upgrade to its image creation capabilities is insane. Let me show you what I mean. First off, you can easily transform any given image into totally different styles, like pixelify it or turn it into anime style. How about Minecraft mode, or capture that cozy, nostalgic stop motion feel? And it goes both ways, like taking an animated image and turn it into hyper-realistic art. Just look at this transformation and the details. And not just that, it creates images from scratch. For instance, I asked for a South Park character, and look at this. Even better is that I told it what the water bottle should look like, and it switched it seamlessly. It's also fantastic at generating mockups, like this one for a clean financial tracking app called Crumbs. It goes even further. I asked it to turn this image into a McDonald's ad. Absolutely impressive how it gets the text right. You can even extract assets from an image as well. Like this shark is redrawn, matching the original, and it understands transparency. Simply amazing. Need engaging visuals? Generate stunning infographics like this recipe guide, or whip up funny comics effortlessly. I'm actually proud of this one. Now this one is mind-blowing to me. It can take your hand-drawn sketches or instructions and turns them into what you want. For example, I want a hyper-realistic YouTube thumbnail. This is something that takes designers some time to create, and look at it. ChatGPT's understanding of lighting and textures is impressive. Honestly, it just blows me away with the detail. Every image feels professional. And guess what? This is just scratching the surface.
I agree when you said like it's so professional now. I mean, is this going to put people out of business because it's so like you don't need a graphic designer anymore because of the capabilities of this? What do y'all think of that?
Here's how I look at it. At least for me, I'm so busy doing client work that graphics are, I pay someone to do that because I know that's not my strength, right? So
Right.
if I decided I wasn't going to pay somebody to do it for me, then I'd have to do all the learning and the tutorials and take time out of the business that I'm, being paid to do. So I feel like for me, it won't really change. But if someone learned how to use that, like one of my assistants, I think that would be great. I don't have an issue with it. But I just don't have the time to go through and learn all this stuff.
And I don't want people to lose jobs over. I mean, we know it's inevitable that this is going to cause people to lose jobs, not just graphic design, but like I was listening to, has anybody here listened to the Diary of a CEO podcast?
I've heard about it. I've
It's
heard
really
all.
good. It's
Yeah.
really good. It's one of my favorites. So there's a new one on there where he interviews these top experts and is just talking about AI and how that's is and will affect the world. And it's a really interesting discussion. I'm only about halfway through it, but it's really enlightening. So I definitely suggest going to YouTube or your favorite podcast player and just look up Diary of a CEO. I'll find it and show you all on the screen in a minute. Tony says he used ChatGPT to create an image, render it 3D, and the export is as an STL file for 3D printing. Whoa.
Wow.
That's wild.
Yep.
And then Larry makes a great point. How do you get around copyright? When we were watching that video where he talked about having it pull the shark off of that image from Mr. Beast, like, wouldn't that be a copyright issue? I
Well,
want to be grabbing
well,
stuff like that.
that's a great point because there have been lawsuits, and you're going to see this for a while. It happens in the music industry. There's nothing new under the sun, yet musicians keep suing each other. So it's what chord has not been played, and in how. And
Yeah.
so in regards to graphic design, I think if you ever worked with a world-class graphic designer and you've really worked with them, there is a difference between the what do you call it, the maestros or the top-notch people and then everybody else, right?
Right.
And if you even see how they use AI, it blows you away because they use the nomenclature, the language, everything, and they know how to command the AI. If you ever, because I have a friend who's one of those. If you ever see how they dominate the AI, it's amazing. They even get more out of the AI than most of us do. But
Wow.
so there is a difference when you work with somebody that's at top of their game, and then the rest of us. It really is. There is a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What I like to do is I just like to experiment to see what can I do. I mean, normally I have graphic designers help with design stuff, but I'm trying to see, well, what can I do in ChatGPT? Also, what can I do over on Canva? Their AI thing, like when it first came out, it
Yeah.
wasn't that great. I was
Mhm.
playing with it yesterday. I was so check this out. Yesterday, I had ChatGPT help me with an image that I was trying to create. I was trying to create a YouTube thumbnail, and it was great. But it had one major flaw. It put an extra picture of me on it. And it's like, no, I only need one Madalyn, not two. And I told it like I'm swearing this one chat probably 20 different times. I kept telling it how I wanted it to be. And every single time it would render it with this extra person of me, picture, image of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. But I just need that out. So I thought, okay, I'm the kind of person, if there's a roadblock, I will find a way around it. And I'm like, how can I remove this one? How can we take this out? If you can't do it, how can I do it? And it was giving me some suggestions. And when it said Canva, I'm like, oh, Canva. Yes. So I go into Canva, like I Google, how can I remove something, out of Canva? And it was like a magic something. I'm like, whoa. Then I found a quick YouTube video. I'm like, great. So I go into Canva and literally press a button, hit the little thing, and it removed it perfectly. I'm like, whoa. So I started, and this is not unusual. You could start in ChatGPT, but if it doesn't get exactly right, I just download the image from ChatGPT, put it in Canva, and I was able to finish what I wanted in Canva. I'm like, now it took a while to figure all this out, but the next time I'll know exactly what to do. And ChatGPT was great with being a starting point. It just couldn't understand, no matter how many different ways I kept trying to tell it what I wanted. And it's not like this image generator thing, this new version of it is perfect. It's going to have issues, but I'm seeing the potential of what we can do with this, and I couldn't believe how easy it was for me. And it's like, would I need to keep paying people to do this kind of work when I can just so quickly and easily press a few buttons and do it on AI? I mean, it's good and bad because I don't want people to lose jobs or lose work. But there was a good comment. Let me find it.
But at least as an entrepreneur, sometimes you need to save money and you need to cut. I mean, what are you gonna
100%.
do? You're gonna hire the world class designer, which you may those people don't even get into the bits and bytes anymore. They
Right.
get at the high level creative process because they know everything else getting commoditized.
But it can be very out of budget, and to
Mhm.
do that. But Peter makes a great point with AI that we're hearing a lot now. They're saying that it is not going to necessarily replace jobs. It replace people who don't learn how to use it, or just find ways to take advantage of it. That was the thing on Diary of CEO they were talking about, is like seeing what you could do with this technology and coming up with something new that's never been done. And, I mean, when I look back to when I first got into digital marketing, I was one of the very first web designers in Houston, but it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I could see the power of this new internet thing. I'm like, in the 90s, I'm like, this is the direction for things. How can I learn it? So I'm like, I want to learn this HTML. And I learned HTML. This is before programs. This is before Microsoft Front Page, which ruined HTML code for us, old school coders. And I got a book and I taught myself how to do HTML code. And I can still type code off the top of my head. It was just a lot of the same stuff. It wasn't that hard to do. Anybody could really do it. It wasn't that difficult. But back in the day, your websites were built in Notepad, typing code off the top of your head. And I just thought this is really cool. If anything, I'm just going to do it for myself for fun, but I think this could probably be a business. And the first business person I knew that says, I don't know what this .com thing, this is what he said to me. I don't know what this .com thing is, but I know I need one. And he was in real estate. And so I built it. I'm like, well, I know how to do HTML. I can create a website for you. I'm like, this could be a business. So I was one of the very first. There was like 3 of us in this huge city that were the web designers when all that started in the 90s. And
But didn't they call it the super information highway?
there were all kinds of names for it back then.
That was funny. You're right. You're right.
Always the word cyber and spider and crawl.
Right.
And all that stuff. So. But yeah, Canva has definitely upped their game. If people have not been playing in Canva more recently, I would try these. I couldn't believe all the AI stuff I was able to do yesterday so quickly and easily. So it's super impressive. Marcia says all AI is good, but it has its drawbacks. 100%. I mean, that's another thing with the Diary of a CEO episode I was listening to. I mean, they talking about like how this could really negatively affect humanity, and some of it's scary.
I actually think that it will replace jobs. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. And I'll tell you this, we just have to, there is in the spectrum of things, people at the lower side of things, they don't have access. They can't even get the training because they don't even know how to get the training. So, there's that skills gap. So yeah.
Yeah, Peter says he remembers Amazon when it was just known for selling books. I remember too. And I remember being a very early web designer and being very immersed in all that stuff and how digital marketing was evolving. People would not do credit card stuff online. I was like, why not? This is so easy to do now. You can just put your credit card in and buy stuff. I never had any problems, but most people are like, oh my God, there's no way I would ever put a credit card in this internet thing. And, things were so different back then, but look at how far it's come, over these last, handful of decades. So these are great comments, y'all. Back to Larry's, he had posted a little while ago. Larry, you said you use the image edit tool in ChatGPT. Tell me more about that, because I didn't know. I was just doing prompts and going back and forth with my prompts. And yes, Microsoft front page. When you did old school coding, HTML coding like I did, and all of a sudden, because here's what's funny. Back in the day, it went from me always getting 100% closing on sales for everything because there were so few people that knew how to do HTML code and create websites. And then years later, along comes Microsoft front page. Now, everybody and their brother were now like literally you had big companies in Houston going, well, my son has Microsoft front page. So we're going to have our corporate website be done by a kid using Microsoft front page. Like that started happening. And it was the crappiest websites. And what would always happen is eventually they would call me and say, we need professional help. And the code, if anybody was an old school HTML coder back then, and you will laugh, there was nothing worse back then than opening the files and having to go through Microsoft front page HTML code. It was the worst code ever written. And what I used to have to do, I say, look, it's faster. It will cost you less money if I just rebuild the whole thing from scratch. That's what I had to do. Like you just could not work with that code. It was awful. And it's like, man, it was just a crazy time back then. But seriously, there were huge companies having a very young person, like typically a high school person, do corporate websites. It was wild.
Yeah. Just like in, I keep mentioning it, *Halt and Catch Fire*. I just finished watching all 4 seasons.
I'm gonna have to watch that again.
It was so good, but it was interesting. Sorry. Where they were talking about the World Wide Web, and this is going to be huge, and we need to get in on this. And they were like, "But what is it?" And these are the brains of the industry,
right?
I did want to share something if I could. So I put it on my personal Facebook, but I can put it in school as well.
Okay.
So the Copyright Office came out with a 100-page report about AI and copyright, but this is what they say.
The Copyright Office's report explicitly states that copying involved in AI training threatens significant potential harm to the market or value of copyrighted works, adding where a model can produce substantially similar outputs that directly substitute for works in the training data can lead to lost sales. One more sentence. The ultimate conclusion, making commercial use of vast troves of copyrighted works to produce expressive content that competes with them in existing markets like books or music, especially where this is accomplished through illegal access, goes beyond established fair use boundaries.
Huh.
So I don't know what that means, but I'll share. I'll put some links in
what I
school.
would be doing, what I personally would do, is I would copy and paste that in ChatGPT and say, "Can you please explain this to me so I understand what it all means?"
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and that's what works really best. I want to show this. Tony had posted in here, and for those that are watching that are not in Facebook, why I wanted to put it on the screen because it's so interesting. He's using ChatGPT to make a tool that scrapes his local city website for new businesses that register since it's public, and then uses Google Sheets, plugged in some code, and now it's on autopilot. That's just so cool to hear how people are utilizing AI to do things like this. And we keep hearing more and more about the AI agents, which just taking things to a whole new level with automation. I still don't quite understand it all. And I have to say, I just learned something new thanks to Larry, which I will show y'all in a moment because I want to demo some of this stuff with the image generator. And I can't believe we're already coming up to the top of the hour. This goes so fast. But Larry says, because I was saying that like I'm just doing this through the prompts in the chat. I did not know that there's a little editing tool in there. So let me show y'all now that he's telling me what to do, which I didn't know I could do. So of course, when you're going through your prompts and stuff, let me walk y'all through it real quick, and then we'll look at that. So I actually came on here and said, "Hey, I want to demo." This goes back to what I was saying earlier. I just tell it what I want, and we're just having a conversation. So I said, "Hold on, let me take this off the screen." I said to chat, I want to demo how cool the 4.0 image generator is here. What would be some good prompts to show it off? So it's, throwing me some different prompts in here. And then there was this one right here sounded good because it's prompting that shows personalization power. So the prompt is create an image of a female tech speaker on stage giving a talk about AI and productivity tools with a digital screen behind her showing slides. So this is what it created. It's like, okay, cool. Well, until Larry made his comment in here, I'm like, oh, I didn't notice these up at the top right. Look, so when you're in the prompting phase, right, it does your image. Click on it, and then look at this. You can hit select. I guess that's what you were talking about, Larry. A select button. Wow. Describe what you want to add, remove, or replace. How interesting. So I see, this is why we come on here each week, because we all learn from each other. But I am so wowed about like this image it created from a prompt, because prior to the 4.0 image generator on ChatGPT, it could not do anything like this. It certainly couldn't put clear text that made sense. That was one of the biggest downfalls. That's why I hardly ever used it, because the text was terrible. So then I said, let's change up the styles. I keep seeing people talk about all different styles: cartoon, watercolor, pop art. So I asked it to do pop art. So it took that image and I said, well, let's do the pop art. And so now it just created something in the same, description, but make it different with the style, which I thought was pretty cool. And now I know I can come in here and play around with some editing. So, what do y'all think of that? Have any of y'all played around with any of this and tried prompting and doing different kind of images like what we saw in that little video? Y'all haven't been experimenting with it?
Well, I've been experimenting with it a lot in the last, like I said, the last 72 hours especially. I got real excited because I use the feature now of uploading my photograph. I probably have 18,000 photographs on Flickr that I've, uploaded, a beautiful scenery that I lived in at the resort for 10 years. And I got to tell you, and I was always a Thomas Kinkade fan, the painter of light. And I knew that from experience since 2022, I thought, because I would dabble in my own digital art, is I want to get that lighting right. And so I knew people were saying, well, you can't put Thomas Kincaid in there, he'll throw it out, because that's, his style. There are certain, they says that they can't generate that. And now, with the level of Chat GPT where it's at, I don't have to say Thomas Kincaid. I've been trained on the light. I've trained on, the setting and what it actually entails to create that lighting. And I use that as part of my prompt. And I was just blown away. I really was. And then this morning, because me and my little digital icons for my my profile icons, that really is my face, but I have that you see on screen, that's my face, but I've had different hairstyles and shirts, clothing, and attire, that because we're friends on Facebook. And the thing is that that's I had a chat a GPT that would actually do some face swapping early on, before we had the latest tools and that. But now I uploaded one. I think I uploaded her. I'm not. That rendition of me, and I created new. I said I want to change my T-shirt color. I want to do various. I want to add a choker necklace or whatever, and it changed it right away, and it just blew me away and how close everything was. And so from a design perspective in that, it just opened up a whole new world. But most importantly, for those of us who have been professional photographers or, a passion for photography, is that we can take that photography and turn it into art. And if it's a style you like, and it isn't Thomas Kincaid style, it's Barb style, because Barb mixed it, because Barb also knew R.C. Gorman, and so it's like, and being in from New Mexico and the whole art market down there. And so I just actually, with the help of ChatGPT, studied the art styles of the masters that I wanted to follow, and then generated my prompts from there.
That's cool. Let me show y'all, like, let's do a live demo of this. Let me go back to that page I'm on. So, and I talk to it like a real person, and I find that when I just sit here and just converse like it's a person, it converses back to me like I'm a person back. And I like that. And I think that's part of training. It learns how you are. And I don't like to be too stuffy and boring with it. I'll say thank you a lot. I'll just talk to it like it's, whether I'm typing or actually doing the audio. There is the little audio button if you want to like talk to it on here. I like doing it on my phone when I do that. Normally, if I'm just at a computer, I'm going to type. So let's tell it. Let's see. I'm going to say, I'm in my live stream right now. Give me a cool prompt to show off the image generator tool. Let's just see it just in real time give us something to try out on here. And then also you can see the speed of which it does it. A lot of times it'll do this where it says, hey, give us a feedback on which version. Sometimes it doesn't do this all the time, but it'll show me like 2 responses, and it's helping with the training. Do y'all get that much? Because I get it every so often. And I find it interesting because they just want to see, like, do you have a preference? Do you like the way it is on the first response versus the second one?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like, I like this first one, so I'm just going to say I prefer that. So it's, it's remembering that. All right, so I'm going to take this prompt it's giving us. So y'all can watch in real time how long this takes. It's usually pretty quick. So the prompt says, create an image. Now, I didn't give it much info. Y'all saw, I was very non-specific. And I'll do that from time to time just to get ideas from it. And then maybe before I have it created, I'll be more specific. But this is going to create for us, this is just more to show y'all, like, it's pretty quick. Create an image of a futuristic workspace floating in the clouds with AI-powered tools assisting a digital creator. Include floating holograms, a sleek, transparent desk, and glowing icons for video editing, social media, and automation. It's a lot of things. This might take a few minutes. Whoa, it wants to do a lot. And it's letting me know it's taking a moment. But what I love about this is that it's giving you a file that you can download and have access to it. Now, if I wanted to be more specific, I mean, this is just for a demo purpose, but let's say this would be for a YouTube thumbnail. I would specifically say, this is going to be a YouTube thumbnail. It'll know to do the sizing for that, whereas this is creating a square image. So there you go. Look how quick that was. So this is the image it created. You can rate it with a like or dislike, and that helps it to understand more about what you like, what you don't like. And if I click on the image, it opens it up so that if I wanted to do the editing, which thank you, Larry. Still can't believe I did not catch that yesterday when I was playing in here. That's why we come together, y'all, because there's not one of us here that knows everything. We all learn from each other. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Were you all surprised at how fast it pulled this up? That's pretty darn quick.
Yeah. I'm recently launched a career coaching program, and so as I'm building it, I'm trying to figure out ways to, make the people who participate more efficient and get to where they need to faster. And so I'm working with somebody right now to help me build a bot to help people get content in their voice out. So, it's a little bit behind the scenes, little shenanigans. And so we'll see where that goes. I'm testing it right now. And if you see me putting out some content, it's actually, there's some behind the scenes so that it's in my voice. It even writes like I write and even uses emojis like I would use emojis.
Nice.
So it's working. And I believe they're using Claude on the back end. So, do a little API call because when you start using credits that a lot of these places give you, if you use the API, it's fractions of a penny,
Right.
So
Exactly. The last bit of news I wanted to share today that I mentioned at the front of this discussion is that Substack, Rachel, this is good news. I know you like using Substack. They have now added the ability for audio-only live streams because we know not everybody's
What?
comfortable being on camera. And I know we're seeing more Substack live streams. There's, a variety of journalists and writers that use Substack as real. I mean, Substack has gotten very popular all across the world. But, it started off as being primarily what I noticed was writers and journalists many years ago. But not everybody's comfortable live streaming. So how exciting now to hear that they've launched audio-only live stream feature. So it says if you're a Substack publisher who prefers not to turn on your camera while live streaming, you're in luck. They announced on Tuesday it's launching an audio-only live stream feature for publishers who want a lower pressure way to connect with their followers. I think that's awesome. That is so smart of them to do. They said it's also ideal for those who wish to remain anonymous. So what do y'all think of that? I think this is
Oh my
excellent
goodness.
news.
Well, there's a lot of people don't want to get on camera, and actually
Yeah.
video is a heavier lift, and
Yes.
audio is a lot easier. So when you had Clubhouse sort of, and then people went to Twitter Spaces, and then there's a bunch of other tools. And I have seen there's a guy named Keith Keller that he doesn't go on video, but he uses Restream and he uses the avatar. And he asked none of his guests to be on video because that's his brand. It's audio show. So
Yeah.
this is there's a lot of people don't want to get on video, and
Lots. Yeah, sadly.
so
I think video is powerful. I know it's not for everybody. I remember the first big thing was starting video. Some of y'all may remember. I'm sure Barbara remembers. Was Google Plus Hangouts. Who remembers Google Plus Hangouts? Y'all, I'm
Here we go.
I'm such a techie geek and nerd. I still remember. So remember when Google Plus first comes out, right? And I don't know who remembers this. You had to be invited in the beginning. You couldn't
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
everybody. I remember
Wow.
where I was when I got the email pop up on my phone saying somebody invited me in. I'm like, oh my God. And I was like running to my laptop. I'm like, I think you only had an hour to reply. And I was like, I'm finally going to get into Google Plus, but it was the Hangouts I was interested in, the live video, because at the time it was just totally revolutionary. And I think this was maybe 2010. So I still remember that moment, and it was wild. I was so excited to be in there. Just kind of like how some of us got into Clubhouse early back when you had to be invited in.
Mhm.
That's how I got into Clubhouse. You invite only, and it was like we were
Right.
very few people were on it at the time. But Google Plus Hangouts was so incredible that you could bring people on screen with you. And I think what was it, like up to 6 people? I think it was, or 10. No, 10. You got up to 10 people on screen.
Right.
So at the time, my online music community, I was like, oh my gosh, we could all just get on screen together, because it took Skype to a new level. Back then Skype, it was just you and one other person on screen. So I remember telling everybody in my community, I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all, we can just get together. We can hang out. Y'all can play music. There's so much we could do. And most of them said, I'm not getting on camera. It was like pulling teeth to get anybody to come and do. I just wanted to play with it. And it took a while. Finally, I got only a couple of people in my community to do it with me. But what was so funny, my music community was called Go Girls Music. And I remember titling it something with Go Girls Music. Well, it attracted the wrong group of people to come watch, because all of a sudden we had some, I guess, young boys are like, what's this Go Girls, thinking it was something else. We're trying to crash on the live stream. It was funny. But I just have always found live streaming video to be very powerful. But I also know that most people are not interested because they're not comfortable, and that's okay. And that's why I think live audio has done so well, especially back during the pandemic.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to look into this option for Substack, because LinkedIn started audio and then they stopped it. Like they don't have it anymore, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But you couldn't record anyway. But here's my issue. I do book marketing chat. I used to do it weekly, like you, Madalyn. I started back in like 2012 or something, doing weekly typing chats, right, on Twitter. And then I did spaces. And now they're so glitchy that I'm thinking I'm just done doing it on spaces. I'm either going to go to a podcast, which is something I would love to talk with all of you actually about that in a future space. But like, where to start? What do you need to do? It's very complicated.
Yeah.
But I know that I need to take it off the X platform, because so many writers have left, and businesses, and that's who I'm interacting with when it comes to doing that chat. I'll still, though, continue to do sex abuse chat because of it's like you were saying, people are very comfortable on audio, especially trauma survivors that don't want to be on camera. So, but I mean, a lot of people just don't want to be on camera. So I love that there is that option.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, here's.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, real quick. I'm an extrovert. And when I hired an online coach in 2016, it took me, there was a 30-day challenge. It took me 2 weeks. And the coach said, Bez, you have no choice, and you have to, I'm going to push you off the cliff. And I remember that first when I was really nervous, and I'm an extrovert. So think about the people that are different than me on the other side of the spectrum. There's no way. So audio will be good, because some of them won't even grab the mic. They love just to listen or to watch.
Absolutely. But I'm excited that Substack is offering this. And there was a comment from Larry. It is interesting with the timing for Substack, because LinkedIn had the audio only feature. It could have rivaled Spaces, and I never understood why it never became a thing on LinkedIn, and they were not even providing support through the company to help people, and then it went away. So, yeah, Bez.
Well, I can tell you that I found out, and I just found out, because it was like Twitter. Well, it was the worst of them all. It was getting worse and worse and worse. And there's some other stories there, but I finally talked to somebody and they said they actually disbanded the development team 4 months after they launched it.
Oh my gosh.
So we
They-
were working with the same code base, even though
Yeah.
the rest of the engine was getting improved. This little component here was still 1950s, and they just sunset it. It was they put it out of its misery. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could. Oh, you gotta go, Rachel. Okay. It could have been huge. You know, one of the spaces I used to do years ago was all things audio. Was one of my weekly spaces with Suze Cooper, and that's all we did was talk about all things related to social audio. And when LinkedIn Live Audio came out, we're like, oh my God, this is going to be huge, and this could maybe overtake Twitter's spaces, which we wanted at the time, back when it was Twitter Spaces, to be huge, and it was growing. And then here comes LinkedIn Live Audio. I'm like, ooh, this could be interesting to see. And we thought maybe we'll broadcast on both, but it didn't work very well. You couldn't listen to replays. You couldn't send people to a link to let them know ahead of time that when you scheduled it. It had so many problems. And it was to the point where it's like, I don't even want to use it. So I think I did it maybe once. I think Susan and I did one time on there, but it's sad that they just didn't put the resources into it.
Well, it's we in our mighty knowledge in the backseat chair we sit know better, right? It could have been what could have been, but it never integrated with any other products. And they make $17-18 billion a year, and they make 11 billion off LinkedIn Recruiter. Now, LinkedIn Recruiter costs anywhere from $6,500 to $7,500 a seat per license. So that's where they make their money. And I think they could have integrated it, but
it would have been nice, but that's okay. It all worked. For me, I just would have loved to have had people that know that, we know with social media, some people are going to be on all of them. Some people are just going to be on LinkedIn or just on Facebook or just on X. I do this live stream because it just opens it up where I can be broadcasting right now, which is what we're doing to my LinkedIn, my Facebook, and my X. I mean, not my Facebook, my YouTube, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. And then I'm just going to post a link to my YouTube and my Facebook. But so far, it's been good experimenting with LinkedIn on here with my live stream, because I think I'm missing a lot of people who know me, but they're not coming over to X or YouTube or Facebook, so they don't even know I'm doing this live stream. So, yeah. Roxanne says I use Restream to give people the YouTube link. I do that. Yeah. I always give I make the primary YouTube. And the reason why is YouTube is a search engine. So this will live on, and it's so easy. I'll have people going, I can't find your replay on X. I'm like, well, it's one of the problems X has always had. They have never made it easy to find replays of live streams or spaces. I never understood why they didn't do that. Yeah. So I just send people to YouTube. All right, we got to wrap up. As always, we always go over time, but it's always fun hanging out. Larry says, LinkedIn to me always seems like the MacGyvering patchwork, shoestrings with bubble gum, very kludgy. Yeah. I agree. I like the word kludgy. That's cool. I don't know that word, but it just sounds perfect in your sentence. So thank you, Larry. I'm glad you're here, Larry. We've missed you, and you're totally fine just being in the comments. Whatever you're comfortable and whatever works for you and your schedule is great with us. Y'all, thanks for joining. This was fun. It's always a great conversation. More about ChatGPT today, which was fun. And if anybody here has not been playing around with the image generator, try it. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
Just on ChatGPT?
Yeah, on ChatGPT. Or you can do it in Magi as well.
Right.
So, yeah, we appreciate y'all joining in today. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us. And Roxanne says, physicians love Zoom. Thank goodness Restream can schedule there. That's good. That's always good. Tony says, ChatGPT photo formula style plus main subjects plus detailed / environment, mood or color. So this is good. Thank you, Tony. That's a great formula. So
the reason why physicians love Zoom is because their Zoom actually is HIPAA compliant. So
that makes sense. Okay.
Like there's platforms that don't have some type of agreement, and Yeah, but Zoom hasn't.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, thank you all so much for joining. We're still going to work on our idea from last week that Bez came up with our back to the 80s, baby. We got to definitely do a live stream with that because that was such a great idea. If anybody missed last week's, go to my YouTube, go to @Madalyn Sklar on YouTube, go look at last week's live. We spent like the first 20 or 30 minutes on this whole
80s.
80s and 90s.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a fun conversation. And Bez is like,
But then we did it at the end.
we did at the end too, yeah. And Bez
We
is
had
like, we
two
got to do a
shows.
live stream.
We had two shows. The shows
We
were
did.
in the intro and outro.
It really was. It was fun. That was a lot of fun. So if y'all missed that, just go check out on my YouTube. You'll see it in there. We had a great time. And we will definitely come up with some kind of little Friday night live stream like we talked about last week of, back to the 80s, baby. It's like a show and tell. That was what
Yeah.
we came up with. Like we're going to have a show and tell and kind of just relive the days with music, pop culture, and bring your favorite drink. I jotted down on my post-it the things we
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
So
And probably bring some pictures of your hair.
absolutely. Oh, I've got some pictures. I know exactly where it is. I have a photo album from high school, with me with my, long hair and my guitar. I was a total rocker chick and got pictures of me with my guitar and stuff. Yeah. We'll have to do that. That'll be fun. We'll still plan it. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
All right,
No
y'all have
worries.
a great rest of your day. We'll see you back here next Thursday. Join us for another always fun conversation. We'll see you next time.
Bye.